Good afternoon and welcome to Learn Some Shoes with me, Kevin Britz, proudly powered by leadershipbydesign.co, leading the charge with insights, information, and ultimately effective results. Joining me in today's marketing and leadership segment, marketing and communications expert and co-host Craig Page-Lee. How are you doing, Craig?
Great, Kevin. Yeah, good to be chatting again. Our first show for May. And it's quite incredible to think that, in literally 2 months' time, we'll be in the middle of this year already.
Yeah, I know. And we've spoken about it a few times already. Time is the construct of time no longer feels like time.
That's right. It's fast attracted time.
But Craig, so we had a really good discussion with Mornay Stolz from My Way Insurance in our last week's show. Can you provide us some general comment on that experience with Mornay in the workplace and how he brings leadership capability to life? I think you made some of that.
Kevin, I was just really thoroughly enjoyed the conversation and really appreciated the insights that Mornay shared with us, especially those relating to the managing the complexities of call centers, which we know is really is a tough task because so often the call center is taking a lot of negative flack from prospective customers who are having bad experiences and that. So really, I admire his ability to work so closely with these teams and just focus on driving the cultural aspect of the business. That really stood out for me, where Mornay puts himself front and center in that regard and really works with these teams to bring that cohesive nature of the culture of the business into the call centers and really leads from the front in making sure his staff are aligned, supported in everything they need, and really bringing them into the conversation to try and find effective problem solutions and tailor products that they know the customer is going to be happy with, because they're at the front line, they're getting all the conversations, they're getting all the questions and having to resolve in real time. And it's really great to be able to bring their experiences into the mix and help formulate better product and service solutions with a collective team. So I really think that is something that stood out for me.
Yeah, what I enjoy working with them closely is, the fact that they've implemented some of the programs that they do, and that they to me it just showcases and shows what future leadership looks like, because he's a young leader and
yes,
went from answering phones to running the show. So there's that success trajectory that's tangible in real life, that shows you can start in a call center and you can end up running a business. But it's amazing how you see that trajectory, how he's applied himself, and the sort of the growth that he's experienced within his career. It's really it's inspiring to see people do that, and really a great example for people out there that that want to see someone who can do it.
Absolutely, and he's taking that experience and he's sharing it with these teams, and he's giving them the cues and clues on how to do it themselves, and bringing them up with them, which is really great.
So that means, Craig, I know there's an exciting conversation happening. So what are we going to be chatting about today?
So, Kevin, I've just completed my first ever Sani to Sea, which is a 3-day mountain bike ride. It was traumatic. And I've been thinking quite a bit about the health and wellness industry coming out of that race, because I saw a whole lot of stuff that really sort of highlighted the importance of health and wellness. Firstly, you got to be healthy and in an absolutely good mental wellness state to be able to complete a 3-day stage race of this nature and capacity. And I was really taken back by the support mechanic behind this entire event, from the medical field, the teams in the field on a daily basis, roving through the course, always present, getting to the finish each day, the support that exists there, etc. So on the back of that, I thought let's just take a look at where we are in terms of what are the trends that are actually leading this health and wellness industry, and really found a fascinating report that actually brings some of those trends to the fore, and going to chat in a bit more depth about that, Kevin. But really, to start with the event, it's a momentous achievement by any standard. And the one thing is, you really have to prepare. There's no way you're going to finish an event of this nature if you haven't done the miles, and that's a fact. So the mental capacity is probably one of the most important things that got me through finishing, because they are cut-off towns, and if you don't make those cut-off towns, the sweepers come along and they take you out of the race, and it's a lot of effort and a lot of money to waste, not being able to finish in a predefined time. So this was the 20th edition of Dasani to See, 20 consecutive years. Even during COVID, there were a couple of riders who unofficially continued the program and finished it. And 20 years of growth to about 1,200 to 1,500 riders on any one year. And it's staged over 3 days and 3 staggered starts. So there's a thing called the trial event, which is, I think, the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then the adventure, which is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the main race, which is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all starting in Underberg in KwaZulu-Natal and finishing in Scottsboro, so in KwaZulu-Natal, some 270 kilometers down the coast, and some brutal climbing, Kevin. 3,956 meters of elevation gain over the 3 days, which is quite severe.
Yeah, because the first question I was going to ask was that how many kilometers, in 200 and how many? 76?
270, 268, 269, 270. It just, each GPS and Strava reading is slightly different. So I've just rounded it up to 270.
But now the length that you're doing is 100 kilometers or?
No, so I think day 1 was 89 and day 3 was about 89. So day 2 was 90, 96 or so. Quite hectic, yes. But the importance here is the ability to manage the movement of, call it in this instance, the 1,200 riders, so 400 riders per race title. Is the logistics and support behind that is just something I've never seen. I've done stage races in my life, but this was just on another level of experience. The arriving at the venue, check-in, registration, getting your black box, packing out everything you need for the 3 days, your riding kit for 3 days, your kit for the evenings and the 2 stopover evenings, and then packing all the rest of your surplus stuff into your car, handing over your keys, and then they drive the cars down to the end destination, and you obviously cycle your way to the 2 stops during the journey. Beautiful start, incredible scenery, just really picturesque. It's a wonderful part of the country, it really is. But the nature of the riding is very technical and hard, there's no doubt about it. But the support mechanic on the route is just incredible. Medics on motorbikes in and amongst the riders, ever present, stopping in key areas, knowing where the danger zones are, having people to just give you a bit of a warning and things like that. Really great to see. Unfortunately, some accidents do happen. A chap in the group we were riding in came off his bike and broke his leg, so he got helicoptered out of the valley, and chap just in front of us also fell, broke his collarbone. So there are a lot of broken collarbones that happen in this particular race. But the ability to have the medics right there in place was just fantastic, really, really was. And then when you get to the end of each day, great support, fantastic food, but a haul of physios and medical support like I've never seen before. So you book your physio session and an hour long each, and you just see these beds in rows running down this hall, and the ability to just have everybody on standby and ready and spending hours just helping you through your pain and the likes is just phenomenal. But the
But
thing again, yeah, go for it, Kevin.
so I mean, from what you're saying, this, because you get a lot of races and you hear about a lot of these, but you know, from the sounds of it and from what I'm hearing, incredible amount of organization and you know, putting this thing together. This must be quite the quite the event to pull together.
It is. It's definitely Cape Epic is the ultimate event in South Africa from a cycling point of view. This is most definitely, you know, the next one down. Cape Epic is probably the ultimate athlete's desire to be able to ride and finish. This is, you know, everyday man in the street opportunity with good hard training makes it accessible, and it is just a spectacular event to partake in. The logistics is beyond comprehension. It really, really is. But the incredible thing is the need to be healthy and have a good, strong mental state. And for me, those are the two things that really stood out. And that's why I wanted to pick up on this as a topic for today's conversation, Kevin, because if I wasn't in my ultimate fitness state, been working really hard, as you know, and I could have done, would like to have done at least another 50% worth of effort to get fitter. But the mental capacity in this instance is my mental wellness definitely helped carry me through, because there were times of going like, why the hell did I sign up for this? But just realizing, you know, what this was about and the achievement, the sense of satisfaction I'm going to have at the end once I've completed it. So, yeah, with that in mind, I thought let's take a look at what are the trends that are defining the global wellness market, Kevin. And I came across a really interesting read on McKinsey.com. The report is titled "The Trends Defining the $1.8 Trillion Global Wellness Market in 2024." The report was published on the 16th of January this year, so again, very relevant and current information. And it was produced by a collaborative team consisting of Sean Callan, Haley Donner, Jason Medelzi, Anna Pion, and Warren Teichner. And the authors are all from McKinsey's consumer packaged goods, private equity, and principal investors practices. And they really bring some simple, tangible truth sets to us around this particular segment. And the report opens with an important statement, and it says, from cold plungers to collagen to celery juice, the 1.8 trillion global consumer wellness market is no stranger to fads, which can sometimes surface with limited clinical research or credibility. Today, consumers are no longer simply trying out these wellness trends and hoping for the best, but rather asking, what does the science say? And that's the important thing here. Yeah, it really is. I find myself going into the health stores, finding the nutritional supplements and supports that I've needed during my training regime, and really looking at each pack and trying to get to understand, has this been scientifically proven in terms of the claims and statements it makes on the front cover of the box. So yes, it really is an important proposition. The report covers the findings from a study which included surveying more than 5,000 consumers across China, the UK, and the USA, Kevin, and it examines the trends that are shaping the consumer wellness landscape. And these findings were compared against 7 key wellness subsets, 3 of them, including the likes of women's health, weight management, and in-person fitness. The first statement that we really need to take note of, Kevin, is efficacy and credibility are 2 of the most important factors to consumers when selecting wellness products. Now, I don't know if you use many wellness products. I know you run and gym and things like that, but most definitely, those are the aspects that stand out for me as well. What's your take on efficacy and credibility in your consumption of products, Kevin?
Yeah, Craig, because I do, I work with the MIT Neuroscience for Business program. So I'm, when you hear it from that science, like a brain neuroscience perspective, you realize that there's a hell of a lot more that goes into the health of And fundamental health, we're talking about, intake of water, the amount of sleep that you get, understanding your emotional regulation, and really understanding how that influences how well you make decisions in the long term. And I'm assuming just, doing the cycling challenge you've just done, that mental capacity, if the fundamentals are not right, a bit of brain fog and a bit of sluggishness and a bit of, not taking the right vitamins and not feeling energized and not feeling, and not having the right people around you to help push through that, the performance that you, at the end of the day, need to do.
That's such an important point.
Because then, when it gets to efficacy and credibility, it's a large part of it is you can take all the medicine you want in the world, but if you don't have the basic fundamentals right around what your health requires, and you don't have a great support team with the right mindset to actually, help and push through that, it becomes very, to me, it almost becomes redundant. So
yes.
I is aware of the company I keep, the conversations I'm and all the fundamentals to what healthy bodies need. And then I do, when it comes to using any kind of drugs or any kind of vitamins or anything, I always go to a doctor for that, to kind of go, what is the actual optimum? What is the best to be able to use? Let me get some science behind it as well.
Yes. Yes.
Also, it becomes a guessing game, and I don't like that, especially when right?
So, and we're seeing, Kevin, that consumers are now considering wellness a top priority, or at least important priority in their everyday lives, and this is a trend that we are seeing across the globe. But what's really fascinating here, it's especially true for Gen Z and millennials, and they are now actually purchasing more wellness products and services than the older generations are, and fascinating to see the dimensions that it's measured against in terms of health, sleep, nutrition, fitness, appearance, and mindfulness. Really good to see mindfulness coming through there. So I'll just give you, in every one of those 6 verticals that have been measured, millennials actually are the highest consumers and purchasers of products or services across, again, appearance, health, fitness, nutrition, sleep, and mindfulness. But what's interesting here is the efficacy and scientific credibility are the 2 most important factors to the consumers when selecting their wellness products. And the dimensions here is, is it effective and does it work for me as the top measure? Is it well priced, coming in second? Is it high quality, coming in third? Is it good value? Does it address my specific needs? Is it science-backed? Is it recommended by a medical professional? Is it easy to understand? Really important point that. Is it certified by a scientific and/or Food and Drug Organization? And is it clean? And does it contain all natural ingredients? So really 10 important questions relating to the products and services there, Kevin, and very much aligned with my behavior and rituals when it comes to these products and services. So it was good to see that. And so the 5 trends that actually that are shaping this consumer health and wellness space in 2024 starts with the first trend, health at home. And what we're seeing here is, obviously COVID has really heightened the ability to have home test kits across many spectrums of illness types, disease types, and the like. So, the pandemic has moved into its endemic phase, and consumers are expressing much greater interest in other kinds of at-home kits, Kevin. 26% of the US consumers are actually interested in testing for vitamin and mineral deficiencies at home. That surprised me. And 24% for cold and flu symptoms, and 23% for cholesterol levels. So, again, cholesterol are a very important element to control in our health. lots of at-home diagnostic tests, and these are appealing to consumers because they offer greater convenience than actually having to go to the doctor. I know you like to go and get your advice in person, as you just mentioned, but it's a quick result, and it does allow the ability to test more frequently. For each of these trends, though, there are implications for companies, and companies can address three critical considerations to help ensure success in the category. And the first here is companies will want to determine the right price value equation for these at-home diagnostic kits, since cost definitely still presents a major barrier for many consumers today, Kevin. Secondly, companies should consider creating consumer feedback loops, encouraging users to take action based on their test results, and then test again to assess the impact of those interventions. And thirdly, the companies really that help consumers understand their test results, either through the use of generative AI to help analyze and deliver personalized results, or through the integration with telehealth services. And these really could help these companies develop a much more competitive advantage here. Trend 2 is the era for biomonitoring and wearables. And surprisingly, more than half of consumers surveyed have purchased a fitness wearable at some point in time. And while wearable devices such as watches, I know you and I wear them, are popular and have been for many, many years, new modalities powered by breakthrough technologies have ushered in a new era for biomonitoring and wearable devices. And if I look at my son, he's type 1 diabetic. He's got a digital patch that then relays information to his mobile device, and he can in real time monitor and understand where his glucose and insulin levels are, and put an intervention in place as required. So the likes of wearable biometric rings are now equipped with sensors that actually provide insights about their sleep quality through paired mobile apps, continuous glucose monitoring, which can be applied to the back of the user's arms, and it provides insights around your blood sugar, as I mentioned. And nutritionists can then actually use this information and personalize your dietary plans and your activity plans on that basis as well, Kevin. And about a third of those surveyed using wearables actually said that their devices are more often depend on their devices more often than they did, with 75% of all surveyed saying that they have an openness to wearing such a device. And I don't wear a plug-in device at all, but most definitely has highlighted the importance if I see the benefits to my son in this regard. And again, here, there's implications for companies. So while there are a range of effective wearable solutions on the market, particularly for fitness and sleep monitoring, there are unfortunately fewer for nutrition, weight management, and mindfulness. But this really presents a great opportunity for businesses to start innovating and closing out on some of these gaps, Kevin. And wearable marketers, at least makers and health products and service providers in areas such as nutrition, fitness, and sleep can definitely explore partnerships and try and make the data collected through wearable devices actionable, which could then trigger more effective behavior changes amongst consumers. And one example cited in the report here is that consumers interested in managing stress levels actually might wear a device that tracks spikes in cortisol. And companies could then use this data to make personalized recommendations for products related to the wellness, fitness, and mindful exercises. And that is great. I've come across a couple of apps in the workplace where, based on your behavior, picking up these methods and rhythms, the mindfulness exercises are then presented in app and take you through a journey of mindfulness, which is absolutely fantastic.
Quick, there's a few things I just want to, I've just made notes now while you were talking. On the first point, you like the vitamins and minerals, being able to measure that at home. Early in my 20s, I suffered from depression. And very early, it was point depression. Everyone had depression. You had to go and see the psychologist, and
yes.
And because I was diagnosed as clinically depressed, my brain kind of got a fright, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to do the whole medicine route here. And I joined the gym, and for 6 months, I went to gym twice a day. And within those 6 months, I didn't need, medicine for the depression, which was a very kind of curious way of sort of noticing how I could impact my own brain. And this is my journey of coaching and learning about the brain actually started. But second to that, what people don't often realize, and I think that's what's really useful about knowing your vitamin and mineral sort of count is, when you don't know that you're lacking a certain vitamin, very quickly it could relate to being tired. And very often people relate tiredness to not feeling like doing something. And they usually coin that as, and this is, I'm making a generalization, but
yes,
usually coin it as depression, or I feel slightly depressed, or I don't feel like doing something. Meanwhile, you just need some sleep, or you need some vitamins, and there's certain minerals your body's not getting.
Yes,
your productivity level drops quite substantially. Another one that you mentioned now with the cortisol spikes, Dr. Amy Cuddy, she's a professor from Harvard. She speaks about power posing and the impacts that cortisol has on your testosterone levels. So when you know that your cortisol levels are spiking, what cortisol instinctively does, it's built there to protect and help your body. But what it also does to the adverse sometimes is it impacts your testosterone levels. So when it does that, suddenly your brain's functioning changes based on the fact that you're having this protective drug trying to protect your body, and that means your cortisol levels are spiked, right? And if you're in a high stressed environment, your cortisol levels are going to be spiked the whole time. So the fact that there's wearables and things that organizations can actually utilize and start implementing and using in that environment could have direct implication on people's success and turnaround and productivity in that environment. And I think that's what's nice about, just speaking through it now, you're starting to realize that the companies can do more. And when they do more and they know it from this aspect, it can actually impact how the business does.
Absolutely. Yeah, that being able to bring it into the workplace is an important component as well. It really is, and having these apps and tools available, particularly for the mindfulness exercises and things like that, Kevin, really, really important to be able to bring that to the fore. Wellness, fitness, and mindfulness can actually take place in the workplace as well. And again, the importance here is a great segue into trend number 3, which is the personalizations Gen AI boost. Yeah, we know the desire and big movement into the space of personalization. And if you consider, 1 in 5 US consumers and 1 in 3 US millennials really prefer personalized products and services over off-the-shelf consumption. And so while the preference for personalized wellness is still fairly low in priority, we definitely believe that the consumers are becoming more selective about which personalized products and services they're using, and companies really need to be attuned to what's happening in that space. So yeah, technology is also really a key driver in enabling this. The rise of first-party data really bringing a new dimension to personalization as well, Kevin, with approximately 20% of consumers in the UK and the USA looking for personalized products and services that use biometric data to actually provide these recommendations. So yeah, depending on technology, depending on the ability of AI-powered tools and generative AI to unlock this precision and customization of health and wellness solutions for individuals. And Gen AI has already made its way into wearables in the app space, with some wearables using generative AI to design customized workouts for users based on their fitness data, Kevin. The implications for companies here is that companies that offer software-based health and wellness services to consumers, they are uniquely positioned to incorporate this Gen AI into their personalization offerings. And other businesses could explore partnerships with such companies and bring on the ability to create more personalized wellness recommendations into their product offering, Kevin. Trend 4, clinical over clean. Important point here. Consumers are beginning to shift away from wellness products with clean or natural ingredients to those with clinically proven ingredients. And that shift is more evident today, with possibly half the US and UK consumers that were surveyed reporting that clinical effectiveness is a top purchase factor, while only about 20% reported the same for natural or clean ingredients. So there's sort of this shift away from pure natural ingredients to accepting the fact that there are synthetic ingredients that really can help and impact your performance of mental and physical wellness here. And the trend is definitely pronounced in categories such as over-the-counter medications and vitamins, Kevin. The implications for companies is to meet consumer demand for these clinically proven products. Some brands will be able to emphasize existing products in their portfolios, while others, they might need to have to rethink the product formulations and strategies, because consumers are definitely going to call you out if you're not making the effective statements and bringing the right information to the fore. So while wellness companies that have built brands around clean or natural products, particularly those with dedicated customer bases, they may not, in fact, they may want to pivot away from that into this more effective clinical proof points and bringing in third-party certifications to help substantiate their claims. And that's a really important point, because you've got to bring in the third party to help with the neutrality of statements and verification, so that you're not perceived as overstating the fact that your product adheres to it, but actually with no proof points behind it, Kevin.
Yeah.
The thing here is that companies that can boost their clinical credibility of their products by using clinically tested ingredients and running third-party research studies on their products, and then securing those recommendations from healthcare providers and scientists, and building a medical board that actually weighs in on product development. Important. Has it been validated by a medical board? Really, really important here. US consumers prefer clinically proven efficacy versus organic or natural by product type. And here's an interesting variation in terms of the metrics here. So organic, naturally ingredient or formula at 12%, 60% saying over-the-counter recommendations, clinically proven efficacy. Vitamins and supplements, 20 organic and natural ingredients, with 60% saying vitamins and supplements clinically proven. Consumer goods, organic or natural, sitting at a 20% spectrum, clinically proven, 47%. Beauty, organic or natural at 25%. 52% at clinically proven efficacy. Nutrition, 33% organic or natural ingredients in formula, 41% clinically proven efficiency and efficacy, Kevin. So again, in all 5 of those quadrants, clinically proven standing out as the most important. And then, trend 5, and I think this really plays well into your habits around healthcare, is the rise of doctor recommendations. And what we note here is the proliferation of influencer marketing in the consumer space has definitely created new sources of wellness information with varying degrees of credibility. And as consumers look to avoid this health washing that I just mentioned, it's deceptive marketing that positions a product as healthier than it really is. Healthcare provider recommendations are really taking front stage importance once again, Kevin. Doctor recommendations are the 3rd highest ranked source of influence on consumer health and wellness purchase decisions in the USA. Consumers say they are most influenced by doctors' recommendations when seeking care related to mindfulness, sleep, and overall health, which includes the use of the likes of vitamins, over-counter medications, and personal in-home care products, Kevin. The implications for companies here is that brands really need to consider which messages and which messengers are more likely to resonate with their consumers. And the report found that companies selling products related to mindfulness actually may want to use predominantly doctor recommendations and social media advertising, whereas a company selling fitness products may want to leverage recommendations from friends and family, as well as endorsements from personal trainers.
What's interesting about that, Craig, is to me it's about the human behavior element, and in certain aspects you kind of go, when you are looking at consuming a product, a medical product that you need to be using, you need an expert. But when it comes to fitness, you would take, advice or recommendation from, a friend or something.
Yes.
Yeah. The actual document itself, and what I'm liking, everything that we're talking about today, is that there's a big push towards the wellness aspect of how it impacts the environment and the people in your environment that you're working with, right? So when there's more cognizance and intentional processes and procedures put in place for this, it really pushes that to the fore. And healthy people are going to running a healthy company, right? And
100%, yes.
It's lovely to see it from this sort of broken down perspective.
And just the final point from my side in light of this is actually the sources of influence that consumers are using to make their decisions on purchasing health and wellness products. Is first and foremost is seeing the product in store, then recommendations from family and friends, then recommendations from doctors, and only then consumer reviews on websites, blogs, then television, then YouTube, then websites again, and then ads on social media. So it's really interesting to see how the communications industry is sort of 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th in the ranking. It's the recommendations and seeing the actual product on shelf that's the most important driver in informing decisions on health and wellness products and solutions, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely. Craig, are we moving into the last 7 areas of growth of wellness?
No, we will pick that up on next week's conversation. It's a really good, expansive document, and I think there's some fantastic things that we can pick up with some supplementary support I got around these particular 7 areas that I want to carry this conversation into next week. Really, really great points to consider for next week's conversation.
Just a recap. So we're looking at these trends, guys. We will share the document and we'll get a link for you guys to download it. So, we're looking at health at home. I think a really important one, the area of biomonitoring and wearables, which we already doing. Personalization, AI boost. And I think we've spoken about personalization on a number of shows already.
Yes.
So that clinical over clean, which is also an important factor. And the last one, the rise of doctor recommendation. If you want to check it out, guys, we'll definitely have that in a link somewhere or in the description boxes below. But Craig, I think it's fascinating conversation, and I love that. Just recently I was in an interview with a psychologist, probing about questions around wellness and my experiences working in organizations. And one of the points she said, if you had a magic wand or an ideal scenario, what would that look like? And I said, I truly believe that when organizations have a day in a week where they stop with the working and they focus on wellness and they focus on health and growth and really have people growing, and maybe it's that day is set aside for upskilling yourself, mentoring, coaching, for doing your health, checking your health and your mental health. And when organizations get to that point where they're really looking at wellness as a holistic part of the importance of the growth of that environment, I think the company that starts that is going to be leading the future of companies in a big way. Because wellness, at this point, what we know about wellness and the impact that it has on the environment, and from like physical wellness to mental wellness, and across the board, it can't be overstated enough, right?
Yes.
You really, really have to consider how it's really functioning in that environment, and when you are paying attention to that degree, it's a notable difference.
Absolutely.
Craig, a nice quote that I have for us around just random Arabian proverb. He who has health has hope, and he who has hope has everything.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Please remember to like and share, and tune into the Lunchtime Series every week, Wednesday, Thursday, guys. And from myself and Craig, have a fantastic week. We'll chat to you soon. Thanks, Craig.
Yeah, look forward to that, Kevin. Have a good week ahead, eh? Cheers.
Cheers.